Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Tru Picks, where Chase and myself pick the NFL games. Well, it's not games anymore. It's just one game left on the 2024 season to put a punctuation mark, to put a period, to put an exclamation point on the season. It's the Chiefs taking on the Eagles in the Super Bowl. The AFC team is one that neither Chase or myself wanted to see in the Super Bowl. But in some ways, it sort of felt like a formality. We talked about it a lot during the season that it felt as though the Chiefs kind of were spinning their wheels and just waiting until the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, they started putting things together, getting a few pieces back. We're going to be talking about all of it. And meanwhile, on the Eagles side, they started off a little rough, but then they kept ripping off win after win after win. They got into the playoffs. We saw what they did there, handling Green Bay, handling – who do they play the second game? I forget now. Was that the Rams? I think that was the Rams.
Yep.
And yeah, then taking on the Washington Commanders in the NFC title game. A lot of those games off the back of Saquon Barkley. So we're going to get into it. But before we do that, Chase, how are you doing this fine evening?
I'm doing well, man. I'm very excited for this game. I think it will be a fun one to watch. We'll also give you some player props to look at, but I think it's going to be an interesting Super Bowl. I'm excited. I always like the Super Bowl, even though the Chiefs are in it. And
yeah, it is kind of like, like no matter what happens, it is the game, right? It's whether it's our teams or somebody else in there. It's always the game that you kind of look forward to the most, between having family and friends over, between the commercials, all that kind of stuff, the halftime show. I wish that there was a bet that whether Kendrick just plays Not Like Us for 20 minutes straight, because even if it took my entire bank account savings, I would take that bet just in the option.
right?
Like, I'm not willing to put that level of petty past him. But before we get into all of that and get into the games, it has been 2 weeks since we last spoke to you guys. Sort of what happened with the championship games. We kind of, Chase and I, split those. We each went one way with them, and it turned out pretty interesting in that sense. But what I do want to do before we get into talking about the Super Bowl is talking about what we missed, because some of the things happened on that show, but some happened in the weeks in between. We got a lot to talk about. So first things first, I'm going to go in order of, I guess. Well, I mean, I'll save the quote unquote best for last. But let's start off with a team that's in our division. I'm myself being a Broncos fan, Chase being a Chargers fan, if you don't already know. But let's go with a team that's in our division, the Las Vegas Raiders, hiring Pete Carroll to be the new head coach. This one seems interesting. I think it's a situation where you are going for culture. Pete Carroll is a guy who is very good at instilling culture in a team. He did that for years with the Seahawks. They had success. They went to back-to-back Super Bowls. One of them they won at the Broncos' expense. The other one, arguably, they should have won. If he runs the ball instead of throws the ball, he thought it was going to be. He thought in the off chance that Russ doesn't get the touchdown, then we run it again. But he didn't even have in his mind the concept of, it could be intercepted. But Malcolm Butler makes the play that he does, and from there it kind of, I don't want to say it fell, because the Seahawks always were in the mix, but there definitely was some kind of a lowering of where the Seahawks were. You always kind of felt that they could be frisky, that they would be in the playoffs, that they would be in there somewhere. But then the team was forced to make a decision between quarterback Russell Wilson and head coach Pete Carroll. They chose Pete Carroll, shipping off Russ to Denver. That didn't work out so well for me. But eventually, Pete moved into a consulting executive position in the front office. And now he has decided, well, maybe I'm not done, even at my age, of being a head coach. I want more challenges. And so he takes his talents to the Raiders, where he is going to look to instill that culture. And if I am a Raiders fan, which I wouldn't want to be, but if I was a Raiders fan or somebody who is trying to glimpse into a crystal ball, I anticipate a lot of running game. I anticipate a lot of two tight end sets with Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. There's no reason not to run two tight end sets when you have those two. You just have Bowers leak out. You have Michael Mayer do run blocks. They have a lot of options there. They don't have the greatest of wide receivers, but the real question is going to be, who does Pete Carroll have under center? Will it continue to be Aiden O'Connell? There's a lot of questions around the Raiders, but this is a question that has been answered. Who is their head coach? Chase, what are your thoughts on Pete Carroll as the new head coach for the Raiders?
I think it's a fine hire. It's nothing that's going to blow you away. Obviously, the Raiders are just trying to compete with what Kansas City, Los Angeles, and Denver have in their head coaches, and they felt like getting someone like a Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen like wasn't the move. Like, they, instead of going for someone that's an X and O's guy, they wanted someone that will change the culture, change the locker room, make people want to still be a Raider. And they saw the quick turnarounds for both Los Angeles and Denver. Both those teams were projected to be like rebuilding or they're a year away from making the playoffs. But both the teams made the playoffs. Sure, got exited in the first round, but it's better to be in the playoffs than be on the couch. And the Raiders, they had some glimpses this season, and you want to try to keep a lot of guys on the roster. You don't want too much turnover this offseason. You want to make sure Max Crosby stays. You want to make sure it's good vibes in the locker room. Make it where it's like people say, no, you want to come here and play. So I think it's a fine hire, but I think you saw in Seattle, Pete Carroll kind of was losing the locker room just a little bit. Like, the Pete Carroll touch was just kind of getting a little bit stale over there. So it's just one of those things where it's like, it's a good hire, but I don't know if it's like good for the long term. Like, it's just more of like, let's just see if Pete Carroll can work his magic and instill a culture, and maybe we can be like what Los Angeles and what the Broncos were, and sneak into the playoffs next year, even though our roster will not even be able to compete. Hey, at least we get there and we get playoff experience and we get a chance at the Lombardi, because anything can happen. And Pete Carroll is a Super Bowl winning head coach. So one of the few head coaches to win both the national title and a Super Bowl. So yeah, I think it's a fine hire. It's just, it doesn't blow you away though. It's not one like you say, oh, we got Pete Carroll. Like, it's not like Pete Carroll. He works, but he also is the reason why like that Seahawks, what should have been like what the Chiefs are, a dynasty that should have been a dynasty with the LOB. There was a lot of the reason was because Pete Carroll caused a lot of internal locker room fights with his decision making. This, instead of handing off to beast mode, he was trying to make Russell Wilson the hero of that Super Bowl. And it's not a foregone conclusion Marshawn Lynch would have scored, but if you had an opportunity to go into the end zone, you trust Marshawn Lynch 3 times instead of throwing the ball a slant route to number 3 wide receiver. So
Yeah. But turning from the Las Vegas Raiders, we're going to take a little plane trip over to the New York, New Jersey area, because coming in from Detroit, former Detroit defensive coordinator, that's one of the problems. Sometimes you have a lot of success and you start losing people, and usually it happens after Super Bowls. But for the Lions, it happened after they posted the best season in franchise history, and now they've lost Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn joining, or we should say rejoining, the New York Jets, but this time as the head coach. He's going to bring a hard-nosed style to the Jets. I don't know if this is necessarily a culture pick, similarly to Pete Carroll, but I do think that he has that brand of old school type of mentality when it comes to football and when it comes to an approach. And I think it's a situation where, honestly, I don't think it's a bad move for the Jets. You really don't have a roster to really compete, in the sense of you don't know whether or not Aaron Rodgers is really going to be back. You don't even know if you want Aaron Rodgers to be back. You have a front office and ownership that here agreed on the head coach, but really that ownership has a little bit of a meddlesome aspect to it. So the question is going to be whether or not Aaron Glenn and the front office, I forget who they hired right now to be the GM, but whether or not they're going to be able to get along with the head coach. It wasn't one of the most desired positions, which is interesting considering it's a roster that has Breece Hall, has Braylon Allen.
Mm-hmm.
On the defense, you have Sauce Gardner, you have that front seven, and the linebackers. There are players there, but it doesn't feel as though it's a complete team. And with the ownership being involved, so heavily involved, it always has a lot of question marks. So how do you feel, Chase, about Aaron Glenn coming to the New York Jets?
I like this hire. I think Glenn will do a good job as the head coach. I think he proved with the experience that he had in Detroit, with like a little bit of talent that he had, he was able to scheme up and coach up a lot of guys to be the defenders that they are. So I think he'll do well. I think he'll do well. It's just on the Jets. I like that he started off saying he wanted to keep Rodgers. So like if Rodgers does decide to come back, at least Rodgers knows that he has a place to go to. But I highly doubt Rodgers is back. But I like that he kept it open, so that way it's just like, hey, like he's keeping it open that if Aaron Rodgers wants to return, he can return and be the quarterback of the New York Jets. For him, Aaron Glenn's looking at it like, look, we don't really have much options. Might as well go with this guy. But very, very good hire in my opinion. But will he end up being the long-term answer, or will it be like most Jets coaches we have seen lately, just 2 years and then afterwards they're back being a DC or a coordinator somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, Robert Saleh, I think, was hired on as the Niners DC, I believe, after the Niners DC was fired. But let's turn to two of the more interesting head coach hirings. Let's go. We'll stay on that plane trip. We'll get back to the airport, and we'll fly from New York down to the Dallas Metroplex area. And there, in a move that would only be questioned as the worst sports decision for a Dallas team, only for a few days, the Dallas Cowboys with Jerry Jones have hired Brian Schottenheimer as the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. It's kind of crazy that I'm saving one of these next ones for after this, considering how uninspiring and lukewarm of a hiring this is, but only because the next one has just some hilariousness attached to it. But Schottenheimer, this just feels like the absolute Cowboys move. Like I don't know really what the thought process was. You have in the questions about Dak aside, you have in general a really strong roster. It is actually a strong roster. Any team that has CeeDee Lamb on it is going to have options when it comes to an offense, because you're going to be allowing the Jalen Tolberts of the world to get open. And yes, maybe you lose Rico Dowdle in free agency, but hey, Dallas and drafting high running backs. Where have I seen this before? And where is a great running back coming out in the draft? It's almost a success. You put Ashton Johnson behind that offensive line, you can do things. And when on the defense, you have Trevon Diggs, you have Micah Parsons, you have pieces in place. It's a much stronger opportunity than the Jets situation. In the Jets situation, that's a complete question mark with ownership. At least here, that Jerry's got an eye for winning. It may not be the greatest of situations when it comes to agreeing with Jerry Jones, because he's going to do what he wants to do. But at the same time, he has given pieces. Now, whether from an opportunity standpoint, you want to be competing with the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles 4 games out of the year, that's a question. Maybe you don't want to, but if you had a choice between the Jets and the Cowboys, you still got to face the Bills twice, and you got to face Miami twice, and Miami's not necessarily gimme games. So, and with the Patriots coming up, you never know what's going on there. So it's an interesting situation. How do you feel about the Schottenheimer hire?
This was quite possibly the worst hire ever. Like I'm being dead honest. Like for a franchise like the Cowboys to hire Brian Schottenheimer, who has been a career assistant, and he has interviewed multiple times for other teams, and no other team has ever taken a shot at him because they just didn't believe he was a head coach. Jerry even opens up and says, he was a long-time assistant. And it's like, yeah, why are you telling people this? There's a reason. He's not a head coach. And I just felt this was such a panic move by the Cowboys. Like they felt like they lost Kellen Moore, because I felt for sure Kellen Moore was the next guy in Dallas. Like I
Right.
was like, okay, Kellen Moore, yeah, makes sense. He's coaching the Eagles now. But it just felt like Jerry. I don't know why. Like he was like, oh well, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I can't wait any longer. I have to get the fans. I have to let the fans know who our head coach is going to be. And all of a sudden, he just gave the job to Brian Schottenheimer, which I don't think a lot of people were looking to give the job to him, like, at all. So, yeah, this was a bizarre move, and I saw a lot of Cowboys fans. They were pissed, like they could not believe what they saw, and they were just like, "I'm done. I can't support this stupid team." And Cowboys fans are the most delusional out of any fan base known to mankind. Like they will walk on water for this damn team, and to see them this defeated, I have never seen them this defeated. This is worse than Dez should have caught it for these Cowboys fans. Like that, like that's how Cowboys Twitter was reacting. This was like the end of the world for them. Like they acted like this was the worst thing that has ever happened as a fandom of the Dallas Cowboys. And there's been a lot of bad things that have happened to them. So, yeah, this was an uninspired hiring. It felt like such a panic move by Jerry Jones to give this guy this type of contract and to give him head coaching responsibilities. I felt that they could have waited for Kellen Moore. Maybe Kellen Moore was really lukewarm. Maybe the Saints are really whining and dining Kellen Moore. And then I think once they realized that the Eagles were close to a Super Bowl and close to the host city where the offensive coordinator will be, they were like, yeah, maybe we just find someone else. But like honestly, just keeping McCarthy would have been better. Like I don't understand why you promote Schottenheimer in this situation, but whatever. I mean, will he do well? I don't know. He's not his dad, that's for sure. His dad was smart, but he does the same shit that his dad does, and so Genty does make sense now for the pick for Dallas because they probably want a strong running back, for Marty for the Schottenheimer Marty ball as I call it, but for the Schottenheimer scheme to work. So yeah, I felt this was a horrible hiring, to be honest. Though, and I feel bad for the Cowboys fans because, like you said, talented roster. It's a great roster. It's just now you have a coach that I don't think will get the most out of it, and then the people he's bringing in so far, I'm not like blown away. I'm like, Eberflus, really? You're gonna bring that guy back in? Like, at least the Raiders are bringing in Chip Kelly. That's some excitement. Chip Kelly has shown that he's a good OC, but freaking,
you gave me an easy layup to go to my last coaching talk, but we can't stop. We can't get there before taking a flight from Dallas over to Jacksonville.
No, man. What a mess, dude.
And Liam Cohen being hired as the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach. Now, the reason why this is funny is because Trent Baalke was the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and for some time they were trying to figure out who's going to be this new head coach after they let Doug Peterson go. And part of the appeal was going to be if you got to pair up with a new GM, but Shad Khan and probably his doofus son decided to hold on to Trent Baalke. And instead, they found themselves on the outside looking in when it came to a lot of these head coach hirings. They interviewed Liam Cohen, then offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, but it seemed as though he wasn't that keen on joining, particularly if Trent Baalke was going to remain. He returned to Tampa, which part of me finds this hilarious because all of this is contained within Florida. He returns to Tampa, where he receives an offer from the Buccaneers to return as the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. Now, they agree to this in principle, but it isn't actually signed. It isn't actually made a legal contract, which, as a lawyer, I will tell you, if it's not signed, there is no deal. You can say you have a verbal contract. Verbal contracts definitely do exist, but you know what's stronger than a verbal contract? A signed written one. And without a signed written one, Cohen was able to continue talking to the Jags. And Shad Khan came to his senses and fired Trent Baalke, and Liam Cohen basically went MIA, which now that I think about it, is hilarious because that's also a Miami reference, another city in Florida. But he could not be found. The Buccaneers were unable to contact him via phone. He basically went radio silent. He turned his phone off and just popped up in Jacksonville to sign a contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars to become their new head coach. Now, all of that ultimately has nothing to do with the X's and O's of football. Liam Cohen is a very good offensive coordinator. Will he be a good head coach? That's really the question here. It's going to be dependent, I think, on who his DC is, because the Jags defense has definitely been something that has been super hit or miss. When you have a rookie like Brian Thomas Jr., you have an allegedly generational quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, you have a combination of ETN and Bigsby, you know that your offense should, on paper, be able to move the ball. The question is going to be, can your defense give them enough opportunities, be it short fields, be it turnovers, be it at least holding people to 3 and outs, things like that, that will give your offense the ability to score points. So for me, I think a lot of this is going to be dependent on who the Jags defensive coordinator is, what their strategy is going to be on defense, and how they're going to try to play complementary football. But when it comes to the overall timeline of events, and when it comes to Liam Cohen as the new head coach of the Jags, what are your thoughts?
Duval.
I figured I'd let you handle that.
Yeah, no, that was terrible. I thought it was hilarious. It was the most Jaguars scene of all time. Like they realized, oh, no one wants to deal with crazy Trent Baalke, no way. And then they decide to fire Trent Baalke, name an interim GM, and then all of a sudden Liam Cohen comes running back. And look, did he do Tampa dirty? Yeah, a little bit. He did do Tampa dirty a little bit, but like you said, he didn't sign no contract. He just agreed that, yeah, I'll become the highest paid offensive coordinator of all time. Why not? And look, when head coaching positions offer them to yourselves, you got to take them. Does that burn the bridge with Tampa Bay forever? Yeah, but guess what? There's 30 other teams that he can become an offensive coordinator when this time if this time in Jacksonville fails. So it's not like he is burned in the league. It's not like if he did this to another organization, this would have been huge, bigger news. It was funny, but if he did this to like an organization that's well run, respected, or with an owner a lot of people respect, or a GM, if he did this with like Jim Irsay and the Colts, no shot. This guy's done in the league. Like it would be. If he did this to Elway and the Broncos, done. Like you can't get away from that. If he did this to any of the bigger market teams, done. But he did it to Tampa Bay, who's like kind of just like one of those teams that have been moderately successful throughout the years, have 2 Super Bowls in the 2000s era, which is really respectable. I mean, in this century, they have 2 Super Bowls. I mean, most teams can't say that in this century that they have 2 Super Bowls, and Tampa Bay is one of the few teams that can make that claim. They kicked off the 20s era with the Super Bowl. So, yeah, it's just a funny situation. As for Cohen as a head coach, look, I don't know if he would be good. If he can fix Trevor Lawrence, that'll be good for the NFL because Lawrence is supposed to be a generational quarterback, and the league is better when you have more good quarterbacks play. So, yeah, if he can fix Trevor Lawrence, I'll be cool with that.
Yeah, it's going to be that's going to be a bit of an uphill battle because Trevor's had success, but it never feels as though it's sustained success. I think if that makes sense. But last but not least, definitely not least, arguably the biggest and most important out of the coaching hires. Let's take that plane trip from Jacksonville over to where I live, over to the Windy City, Chicago, where the Chicago Bears, I alluded to this earlier, but you guys watching probably already know. Aaron Glenn leaves, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, but he's not the only coordinator who leaves. Also leaving is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, becoming the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. And I watched his press conference, his initial press conference. I think he did a good job. He did come across as pretty amiable, but also, fair, like tough. He's going to be a guy who holds players accountable. And I think that's kind of what the Bears need. Eberflus seemed like a very, not, I don't want to say go along to get along kind of guy, but he seemed as though he wanted to be a player's friend. And that's more a job for your coordinators, for your different lower level guys, like if it's not going to also be your DC who's a friend, it should be the linebackers coach. If it's not going to be the OC, it should be the wide receivers coach, like that kind of a situation. Whereas Ben Johnson came across as though he's going to hold players accountable. There were times where he said if players don't measure up to the standards, then we're going to be holding them accountable and there will be punishments involved, which I thought, we've heard stories of Chicago Bears players giving up or seemingly coming across as though they're giving up on plays this year, and that's not going to fly for Ben Johnson. One thing that I did think was interesting, and it made me kind of feel bad for Lions fans, because he said that last offseason he had flirted with the idea of becoming a head coach, but he didn't feel as though he was ready. And then over the summer, he said, yes, I felt ready. And it's like, okay, well, now you're already going into the season. Like so you already had your foot out of the door before any games were played of the 2024 season for the Lions. You were willing to leave. So it was kind of a bad situation in that sense. And you really could tell during that last game against the Commanders that the offense was there, but phoning it in is a sentence you could say. And he's moving from a team that is filled with all-stars in the forms of Amon-Ra St. Brown, in the form of Jamar Gibbs, in the form of Monty, and Laporta. I was about to say his my name. I'm forgetting his name, but Sam Laporta. You're going from that to a team that doesn't really have as many all-stars. Yeah, you've got DJ Moore, you've got DeAndre Swift, you've got Evan Ingram, but they don't not Evan Ingram, Cole Kmet, but they don't really, if you're like, they seem as though poor man's versions of an Amon-Ra St. Brown, of a Sam Laporta, of a Sonic and Knuckles. The question is going to be Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams is, on paper at least, supposed to be a better quarterback than Jared Goff. And sure, the last visual we have of the 2024 season for Jared Goff is that interception games against the Commanders. So sure, you could say Caleb Williams is a better player, but across the season, Jared Goff did show better judgment and better care of the ball. Caleb's stats were heavily inflated over the course of a fourth quarter in a lot of different games. He had a lot of games where going into the half, he had under like 50 yards passing. And then by the end of the game, he had close to, if not over 300 yards passing. So the question there is going to be, can you get this consistent throughout the course of an entire 4-quarter game? If they can do that, then maybe there's a chance. Now, is Ben Johnson a better head coach than Matt Eberflus? Well, it's kind of tough not to be, but that's going to be the question. And we're going to see, especially with how they run this team. Now, I know that he has said he's going to be calling plays. They stole Denver's tight end coach to be their offensive coordinator, so they have an offensive coordinator in name. They stole Denver's, I think it was assistant GM to be somebody as well within their front office to help Ryan Poles. So they're bringing in a lot of key, pieces throughout the league to help build this team. The question is, this draft pick has to be offensive line. It has to be offensive line, because that line could not keep Caleb Williams upright. Now, there were a lot of reasons why a lot of those sacks or pass balls thrown away were on Caleb Williams. And that's going to be something that Ben's going to work with him. That's where Ben steps in as a former OC, as a former quarterback developer, to continue to work with Caleb. But what are your thoughts on Ben Johnson being the new head coach of the Chicago Bears, your second team as it is?
You know, a lot of Bears fans are excited. Everything about this guy, when he came in, the mannerisms, everything, he reminded me of one guy, one motherfucker that I hate, Coach Staley. I think Ben Johnson is going to be Coach Staley 2.0. I'm sorry. There something about him. I don't know. Not sold. I know a lot of people are. A lot of people are excited. But this reminds me too much of Staley. The mannerisms, the way he speaks. I can't trust it. But I'll wait and see. I'll wait and see on this one. But yeah, no, he reminds me too much of Coach Staley.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be fun to watch just because the Bears Lions games. Obviously, every team in the NFC North, those rivalries that exist, with the exception of Bears Packers, every one of them feels respectful,
Yeah.
respectful but competitive. Now, I think this one in particular, Bears Lions, from the Lions perspective, it's going to feel a little bit uglier because even from the Lions organization, there was a thank you, Aaron Glenn post. There were a lot of players that came out to talk about Aaron Glenn. There really wasn't anything like that for Ben Johnson. They really, and a lot of people credited Ben Johnson as the
The
guy.
reason for success.
Yeah, the reason for success. So if the Lions continue to have success, then maybe it wasn't all Ben Johnson. And obviously, a team is the sum of the parts. But at the same time, if the Lions don't do that well, then they're going to be circling those Lions-Bears games to be able to say to themselves, at least we destroyed Ben Johnson. And I think that's going to be something to pay attention to and to watch in these upcoming seasons for Ben Johnson's tenure as the Bears head coach. But one person who will not be watching, unfortunately, is Virginia McCaskey, because today, February 6th, she passed away. The Bears owner, Virginia McCaskey, passes away at the age of 102. That's just an accomplishment in and of itself to be able to live that long. My own grandmother made it to 101. So incredible kudos to her, and condolences to the McCaskey family. But she was very instrumental throughout the years when it came to different owner votes. She watched her father, George Hollis, do a lot of great things for the NFL and be very instrumental in the history of the NFL. She left her mark on the league as well. How this changes the way the Bears ownership treats the front office, it was very respectful. You got to remember, you and I talked about this. For the first time in history, the Bears fired a coach mid-season. So, it maybe she felt, I'm on my way out. It's, we've never done this before, but this is a time for change, and we're gonna see.
We should put a warrant for Matt Eberflus's arrest. I think he murdered. He broke Virginia McCaskey's heart. She couldn't live any longer. I felt she was going to live until the Bears won a Super Bowl, and then that was it and stuff. But nope, Matt Eberflus took years off this poor woman's life. We should put a warrant for this guy's arrest.
That's a little. I feel like that's a little much.
I'm just saying, man.
But one guy who is also on the outside looking in, at least when it comes to his team currently, is Myles Garrett, because he is looking for a new team. He has officially requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. This is a terrible blow to morale for the Browns. You kind of knew your team wasn't going places. Yeah, you made it into the playoffs last year, but that was Joe Flacco playing kind of miracle ballish, and that defense doing incredible things. And those things were just not sustainable. You lost Flacco to the Colts, and you brought in Jameis Winston. You were hoping Deshaun Watson was going to get back to Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson, not only did that not happen, but he tore his ACL. Then he retore the ACL during rehab. The Cleveland Browns are... Man, it's really tough to say what the Cleveland Browns are or who the Cleveland Browns are. But one thing that we will be able to say is that they will be more than likely without their defensive cornerstone in Myles Garrett. Now, we can make an argument that Newsome and Denzel Ward are great members of a secondary, but a lot of what they're able to do is because of Myles Garrett. Forcing QB pressures, forcing QB sacks, getting those hits in on the quarterback, getting them out of rhythm, getting them to the point that they make maybe not the best throws. And that's where your DB or your safeties are able to either just break up the pass or potentially get interceptions. And that's going to change now for the Browns. And you can make an argument that outside of Nick Chubb, there is no player that is more important to locker room morale than Myles Garrett. So, Chase, put on your GM hat for a little bit. If you are the Cleveland Browns, we can talk about where Myles Garrett would want to go. And we can talk about teams that are the best fits for Myles Garrett. But if you're the Browns front office, who are you trading Myles Garrett to potentially get the best haul? And maybe, do right by the player, but what is kind of the goal if you're Cleveland?
If I'm the goal for Cleveland, at least a first-round pick. I need a first-round pick out of this for sure because he's one of the best defensive players. He's a defensive player of the year type of player, all-pro defensive lineman. Any team that adds him is automatically getting, the best, a standout player. Heck, I could even argue maybe get 2 first-round picks out of him. His contract is not too horrible. But maybe you get, I would say, a pick and then a player that, will help soften the blow a little bit. And like a key starter. Like I'm not talking about like some bum or something. Like, no, a key starter for the team that's giving up Myles Garrett. And so I think you have to look at that when you're looking at the rosters of people that you may want to trade him to is like, all right, who has someone where it's like, they don't love that guy. Like they might cut him. They might let him go, but we can take him on whatever contract they are now. We don't have to really pitch him. But not only do we get their first round pick out of it, but we also get, a player that can start and play for us and help make an impact. So that's what they're looking at, I would say. At least a first round pick. Like if you trade him for a second and a player, that's horrible. Like he's worth a first round pick, if not 2 first round picks, because of how dominant he is as a defensive lineman in the NFL. Like I know Browns games are not showing that much, but man, if you watch some games, like it's just like Myles Garrett's just a man among boys over there, man. Like he's a beast. He's one of the best. He's one of the best players I've seen personally, and he's lived up to the hype for what he was. And and the great part is in college he was great, but he wasn't like this. This is like a different animal. Like he's progressed so well since coming to the NFL, and so yeah, he's worth the first. I would try to get multiple picks, some late rounders, but at least also to a player that can kind of help soften the blow. It doesn't have to be an edge rusher. I'm just saying a player that can play and fills a position of whatever you need. Because, there's talks about Batonio. He said if Myles Garrett gets traded, I'm done. I'm retiring. David Njoku, he was shirtless on a podcast, and he was like, oh, he's going to go, man. We got something building over here. There's nothing building over there, man. Your quarterback situation's terrible. He wants to win. Like, I don't blame the guy. Like, he served his time.
Yeah. We're saying. Yeah, it is a situation where he's done pretty much everything they've asked him to do. And it's like, if you're Myles Garrett, you're 29 years old, you're turning 30 in 2025. This is a situation where you can see the end of your football career, and you want to get a ring. And there's nothing wrong with it. We saw that with Von Miller. Denver sent him to the Rams. He got that ring. Then you saw him sign the contract with the Buffalo Bills. Granted, he's still making money doing it, like still very well paid, arguably maybe overpaid. But that being said, I'd love for Von Miller to come back to Denver. I'm willing to overpay him. But it's a situation where if you want the ring, you got to make these decisions, even if it breaks the hearts of fans and players that you've played with. That's just the name of the game. But that kind of closes up our what we missed. Let's talk about what's happening actually right now as we speak, so to speak. We have the NFL honors, and you know why I included this.
Well, it's something to talk about regardless. But we were right on a lot of things. We were right on a lot of things on this. Come on, let's give us a pat on the back. We were right on some of these picks.
Yeah, I haven't seen the what's it called? The coach of the year. That one I haven't seen yet, or the MVP.
Those just got announced. Well, MVP just got announced. Coach of the year was
Oh,
announced like 5 minutes ago. So, coach of the
gotcha.
year is Kevin O'Connell.
Okay.
Who do
Okay.
you think won that? Who do you
That's
think won MVP?
that's what I was going to do. I was going to pull up our what we had earlier this year, because in week 14 you and I had a
Yeah.
conversation about this. So granted, I don't know who they picked for MVP yet, but
Okay.
for coach of the year, I had Dan Campbell. You had Kevin O'Connell.
Of course, my God.
Comeback player, which we both of us had Sam Darnold, but for
he wasn't eligible, I guess.
Okay, well, the NFL selected Joe Burrow, which, I mean, torn wrist ligament. Listen, I get it. If you had a defense, you arguably would be in the Super Bowl right now. So it is a situation where I absolutely understand that one. Then what do we have for? Let me see. Rookie of the year. I had Bo Nix at the time. You had Brock Bowers, but both of us kind of knew who it was going to be. We were in that situation, if I remember right, we were picking who would it be if it wasn't for, and the person who, if it wasn't for, is of course the rookie of the year, Jaden Daniels. Congratulations, sir. You definitely earned it. You know, if I know that the voting ended after the regular season ended, but if voting was allowed to continue, like if there was still an argument to be made, taking that Washington Commanders team, sometimes literally on the strength of your legs, to the NFC Championship game, you absolutely won the award in my eyes. But we both picked Bo Nix and Brock Bowers, or I picked Bo Nix, you picked Brock Bowers. For Defensive Rookie of the Year, you and I both picked Jared Verse, and lo and behold, Jared Verse.
I remember preseason. I always do like these future bets, and preseason I told my friend Jared Verse I think is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year easily, and my friend wasn't sold, and he was like, dude, I don't know, he's plus 1,600, da da da, and I'm like, no, dude, I said I've seen enough tape of this guy in college. If the Rams did what they did with Kobe Turner or whatever that one guy was, the Byron Young guy, I always get their. I think it's Byron Young, the other pass rusher. They're going to do well with this guy, and I was so glad that I placed nice sum of money on Jared Verse winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was outstanding this year. Also, his teammate Braden Fisk was also not that bad, but Jared Verse was great this year. Going to be a great player for years to come. Is in that Rams jersey.
Yeah, and so then from there we had our offensive player of the year. And granted, this was week 14, but I had Saquon Barkley, you had Jamar Chase, and there was absolutely an argument back in week 14 for either of these gentlemen. But the rest of the season did kind of have a little bit of separation for one of them, because Saquon Barkley, and look at that picture, the reverse hurdle.
over
Jamar Chase.
That's
over Jamar Chase. That is actually kind of sick. That's a little gross.
Yeah.
How could you do that to Jamar Chase?
Yeah, come on, man.
but Jamar Chase gets hurdled.
That's dirty, bro.
You know what? Honestly, when I was downloading the image, I didn't even pay attention to who he was reverse hurdling. I was just like, oh, they put the picture of the reverse hurdle. And so now I'm talking about it, and I put it up, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Jamar Chase.
That's so dirty. Whoever designed this graphic, great freaking job. That is so dirty that the Jamar Chase, but hilarious at the same time.
But yeah, so I had Saquon, you had Jamar Chase, but then defensive player of the year.
We stuck to our guns. We stuck to our guns. Go back to that episode. I was the one. I said it. He was going to be defensive player of the year.
And I was
stuck to the guns.
Edge rushers, man. Edge rushers.
Always win. They always win. Yes.
But lo and behold, I put the hoodie on for a reason. My boy, that's my second adult son. My number one adult son's Bo Nix. My number second adult son's Pat Surtain. I love this man beyond words, because every time I have laid a bet involving Pat Surtain, it has hit. Granted, I may have had a crystal ball somehow, some way, but with the 9th pick in that draft, I said Broncos are taking Pat Surtain, won that bet. Then this year, I took Pat Surtain's over on interceptions, won that bet. Then, when it was plus 1100, I took Pat Surtain for Defensive Player of the Year, won that bet. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put him, because it's 100% hit rate so far. I'm just going to put him down for Super Bowl MVP for next year. It has to hit. But well-deserved. Quarterbacks would have had a higher passer rating against throwing the ball into the ground, just doing incomplete passes, than if they threw it against Pat Surtain this year. Absolutely amazing. If the Broncos can get a running back, a tight end, and a wide receiver, arguably in that order, then this team's going to go places. Which that's just crazy that we were dead right on that. Which
we bought to that. We said, hey, I fought for it because I literally said, look,
I was worried. That was my thing. I was like, oh god, there's going to be some edge rusher.
We have to what's it called? I said to myself, we have to give the quarterback credit. Pat Surtain the second was just incredible. This season, and he was locking down receivers. Not named Quentin Johnson, by the way. He did pretty good against him. We just want to remind you there. Yeah, QJ.
I don't know what the point of that is.
Well, no. I just gotta remind you. What QJ did to him on Thursday night. That's all.
So you're giving.
Do you remember Lad McConkey?
Wait, according to you, hold on a second. According to you, Quentin Johnson torched the Defensive Player of the Year. So are you giving Quentin Johnson the equivalent of a Supermax contract extension?
Yeah, well, why not? At this point, we need all the help we could get. But Pat Surtain only missed one game this year, and it was after him and McConkey had a collision. And look, when you look at it, like the receivers that went against him, like the most yards he allowed, I think, was like 22 yards this season on one-on-one matchups, and that's pretty darn impressive. And he shuts down one whole side of the field, and that's a hard thing to do. You know, that's Revis Island shit. You know, like a lot of people don't remember Darrelle Revis, but Revis, there was a reason why they called it Revis Island. Like, you couldn't throw to that side of the field because Darrelle Revis had that on lock. Like, you didn't have to worry about a safety being there because Revis would have his matchup and made sure that like that matchup wasn't going anywhere. And Surtain is just like that, where, you know, if you have that one single receiver on that side and you see Surtain there, it's like, oh, great. Like that, dude, we can't even throw to this guy. This guy's pretty much, you have to be risky to want to throw to him. And it's not just, you know, interception numbers. I feel is like, you know, people look at interception numbers and be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Pass deflections are important too. Coverage is important. Coverage sacks are important. There's a reason why the Broncos led the league in sacks. It's because they had great coverage, and that great coverage was led by their number one cornerback, Pat Surtain, who pretty much took on all the one-on-one matchups and made sure that his side of the field was covered, made sure that that single receiver set, like, look, if you want to be a great corner in the NFL and you really want to prove that you're like one of the best, one-on-one is harder than like, oh, okay, I'll pass off my zone, you go here when it's like a trip set or there's three receivers on one side. When you have that one receiver and you know that one receiver is going to be a non-factor for most of the game, that's hard to do as a cornerback. Cornerback is the hardest position in the NFL. I don't care what anyone says. I think corner is the hardest position. It's the hardest position to cover. You know, you have to worry about, oh, did I touch him too early? Did I do a pass interference? I have to turn my head. I have to do this. You have to do a lot of stuff as a cornerback in the NFL. It's one of the harder positions to play. And Pat Surtain, he made that look easy, man. If you go watch like any of the all 22 footage of like any Broncos game this year, you'll just be like, dang, Pat Surtain just made sure none of his receivers could do anything, or he made the quarterback think like there's like a couple plays like Surtain will just like, it looks like the receiver's open, but the quarterback won't throw it because he knows Pat Surtain is going to either jump that route or he knows what route it's going to be. It's like, it's just crazy how much of a lockdown corner he is, and and like I said, in this day and age for the NFL pass happy league, we don't see this very often, man. Like Gilmore wasn't like this. Gilmore was more like he got his DPOY because he was forcing a lot of turnovers, not just interceptions but fumbles as well.
Yeah.
Like this is literally like what Revis was doing back in the day when Revis could like, and it's different too. Revis, he had the rule where he could like tackle people beforehand and stuff. Like Revis was playing in the era before the illegal contact rule was made and stuff. So like, you know, like he could hold for like a little bit longer than Surtain. Surtain only has 5 yards and then he has to let go. He has to let go, otherwise it's a penalty. Revis was like, there would be plays Revis would literally just mug the person in front of him and just tackle them down before they even got their route. Down the game, if you did that, that's a flag. They would be like, oh, DPY, he didn't let him run 2 steps and stuff. Like Surtain has to play with a lot harder when it comes to coverage. So that's why I feel like Surtain he's one of the best corners like I've seen personally. This year was very tremendous for him and well deserved, you know, because I thought they were going to be lazy, give it to TJ Watt. But I think what helped too was that TJ Watt literally disappeared the last half of the season. Like he just did not look like the same.
You know,
Watt.
Let me tell you, this was the voting apparently. Pat got 26 first place votes. Then Trey Hendrickson got 11. Myles Garrett got 5. TJ Watt got 3. Zach Bond got 2. Kirby Joseph got 1. Andrew Van Ginkel got 1. And Jonathan Grenard got 1. So he ran away.
Wait, who? Jonathan Grenard. Like, who the fuck?
Somebody voted.
Who the heck voted for whoever that media member is? They're gone. I felt Grenard had a terrific season for the Vikings. Ain't no way should he have gotten a first place vote for DPOY. What? What are we doing?
Just telling you what happened.
Jonathan Grenard? Was he even a finalist?
Well, I mean, I guess technically if he got a vote, but
what are we doing? Oh, he better. I'm Jonathan Grenard's agent. I'm making sure. No, you gotta up that. Didn't know. Got first place DPOY vote.
And this is interesting for the coach of the year voting. Kevin O'Connell got 25 first place votes. Dan Campbell got 19, so I was very close. Andy Reid got 4. For what? Sean Payton got 1. That's understandable. And Dan Quinn got 1. That's also understandable. So yeah,
where's Jim?
Who?
Jim Harbaugh.
Who?
What the heck?
Who's got it better than us? Apparently not. Apparently not the Chargers.
Andy Reid can sleepwalk this season and get a vote, but Jim Harbaugh changes a whole team that everyone said was going to only win 7 games into a playoff team.
That's
ridiculous, bro.
Oh, hey, buddy. Over under for Denver was 5. So,
man, dude, this is ridiculous, man. Jim Harbaugh being disrespected, dog.
But that leads us to the MVP for the year. You and I, back in Week 14, said that it would be Joshua Allen. And lo and behold, Josh Allen wins MVP. That is a hilarious graphic. He's riding a buffalo, and it's got Lamar being frozen. That is hilarious.
I think this is the first time that the quarterback that was named first team All-Pro didn't win the MVP.
It might be. It really might be. And to show you what the votes were, the voting was 27 first place votes for Josh Allen and 23 for Lamar Jackson. So very close in the voting there.
I feel like this was a lot of voters fatigue for Lamar. They're like, we can't.
I think so.
We can't give this guy, the guy that we the media have been proclaiming is not a quarterback, 3 MVPs. That'd be too ridiculous.
Well, you know, sometimes running backs get MVPs. There was an argument it should be Saquon, but ladies and gentlemen,
I mean, who's in the Super Bowl?
Saquon.
Yeah, exactly.
But ladies and gentlemen, that brings us, very good transition from what we missed to what's happening now to what will happen in the future. And of course, you see the background. You know what the title of the video is: Super Bowl picks and more. We covered the and more. So let's get to the main event. Let's get to what we're here for. Let's get to kind of a Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes situation. You have the tribal chief in Pat Mahomes, the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champions. But can the Eagles finish the story? That's really the question. And what Chase and I decided to do this time around is we're going to do something a little bit different. What instead of giving back and forth on why we on both teams and then giving our pick, we are instead going to flip a coin, which will assign us one of the teams, and then we will have to make the argument as to why that team will win. So it's slightly different than normal, but let's do a little coin flip. Let's do a little coin flip. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you pick heads or tails, or how about this? Let's see, how should we do this? You pick, because then you'd be able to select the team that you want. So who's the easiest way to go about this? Who's the
home team for the Super Bowl?
The home team is the Eagles, I believe.
So we'll make Eagles heads, tails the Chiefs.
Okay, I see how you're doing it. All right, that works for me.
Yeah. So
home team is Eagles. Away team is Chiefs.
So you'll flip the coin for me, and wherever the coin lands, that's who I'll have.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. Damn it.
All right, buddy.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
You got
to victory.
You have got to explain to us why the currently plus 102 Eagles are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The floor is yours.
Man, I really do think the Eagles have a great chance. Now, I'm not in love with this injury report that I'm looking at here. This injury report does scare me. Devontae Smith, limited in practice. Kenneth Gainwell, a guy that is very important for the Eagles on passing situations, and I think we'll get a lot of run this Super Bowl. He's also limited. But then we got news Jalen Carter's been sick, and I guess this is a sickness going around in the locker room and stuff, so that does concern me. But when I look at the Eagles and I look at this team, I just think they have way more firepower than the Kansas City Chiefs can handle. I don't know if the Chiefs have the firepower to keep up with what the Eagles can produce, and especially if the Eagles lean on that rushing attack with Saquon Barkley. I do think that even though it might be tough early in the game for Saquon to get going, I do think that the Eagles should not steer away from Saquon Barkley, feed him early, feed him often, but also do a little bit of your own RPO actions in this game as well. Try to get A.J. Brown involved early. A.J. Brown torched them the last Super Bowl, and I don't see how this is not the same repeat again, where A.J. Brown has a big game for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're missing L'Jarius Sneed this time. Yes, McDuffie's good, but McDuffie's more of a slot corner than he is really a true man-to-man number one corner. He's a tremendous player, but he's more of a slot corner. I think the Eagles' offensive line is really good and will be able to match up well with that Chiefs D-line, which, besides Chris Jones, just has a bunch of guys that I still think are developing into their own. And I've talked about this many times. This Chiefs defense is the youngest in the NFL. They're bound to make mistakes, and we've seen them make mistakes in a lot of crucial games. And, if the Eagles, one thing about them is they don't make a lot of mistakes. They take care of the football. They're a team that makes sure that they take advantage when they do force turnovers. The one thing I'm concerned on is, of course, that young cornerback room that they have. Darius Slay, he's obviously a great corner. But then you got Quinyon Mitchell, you got Cooper DeJean. Both have flourished and have been starters for this team and have been great players. I am concerned how they are going to play the RPO that the Chiefs love to run. I think they might overplay it, and especially if you overplay it with a guy like Worthy, who's kind of been molded into that Rashee Rice role. That's something that I am worried about. But I do think that the pass rush that the Eagles have, because they can send 6 different guys at the Chiefs, and the Chiefs they've been having offensive line issues. Like they don't know who their starting tackle is half the time. They've been rotating guys in and out. There's not a lot of cohesion here. And even if Jalen Carter is not 100%, Nolan Smith has been on a heater. And when you have a pass rusher that's on a heater, that makes a difference, man. Look at the Giants when they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots. It was Justin Tuck having a heater when Michael Strahan really wasn't at his best. Nolan Smith is having a heater. Zach Bond is playing really good. I really do like what the Eagles do matchup wise. And I feel if they can just if they can get I honestly feel like this Super Bowl is going to be similar to Tampa Bay versus Kansas City, and where the Eagles are just going to have too much firepower. They're going to get up big and early. And if the Chiefs can't establish the run game, which I think is going to be really, really hard against this Eagles defense, that's going to cost them the Super Bowl. This team, I do think it's built to win. It's built to win now. You just have to trust in Saquon. Don't get frustrated if the first drive doesn't go the right way. Keep feeding him the rock. Keep feeding him the ball. The more you feed Saquon Barkley, the better the result you're going to get. And honestly, you can't stop the tush push. Like, I know people hate it, but 4th and 1, 1st and 10, that's a hard play to stop. I don't think Spags even has a defense to stop that tush push, to be honest. Like, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing, but I really do think that the Eagles, they have the pieces to win now. They have, a quarterback that's been in big time settings throughout his whole career. Jalen Hurts played in national championships. He's been benched in the national championship. He played in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles, they were beating the Chiefs previously. It's just what happened was they couldn't rely on the running game. Miles Sanders was completely non-existent in that Super Bowl at all. Like, they couldn't get the running game going. This time it's different. They have a running back you can rely on, and you can't get frustrated if Saquon Barkley is having a rough game early. You got to just trust in him, feed him. The more you feed him, the more touches he gets, the better your team is. But I do think it's a big game for A.J. Brown. I think Jahan Dotson, he matches up well with what the Chiefs want to do. I honestly like the Eagles here just because I think they have really great offensive. Just the offense is like, it's so dynamic when they trust in Saquon. When they go around Saquon, it opens up everything else. And I think this Chiefs defense, they've been playing with destiny too much. They've been playing on the thread a little bit too much. So I think the Eagles are going to win just because the offense is really good and the defense is stout enough to slow down Mahomes.
That's a fair argument. And in a different world, I would agree with all of those points. But let me give you a little bit of a counter here.
No.
Let me just read off a few numbers, few stats here. 3,928 passing yards, 26 passing touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's Patrick Mahomes' stat line for this year. And it seems like a off year for Patrick Mahomes. Arguably on par with last year. And last year, they won the Super Bowl. But what's interesting about that is those are Patrick Mahomes' passing yards. And that puts him at 7th in the league this year. Where was Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts was 20th. You had C.J. Stroud, who had a sophomore slump, having better passing numbers than Jalen Hurts.
I think we're not counting Jalen Hurts' rushing touchdowns here. Jalen Hurts has better rushing touchdowns.
It's just whoa. I didn't interrupt you, sir.
I'm just saying you doubted my quarterback.
Listen, I know you got a special love because he's from Bama as well. But Jalen Hurts, 2,903 passing yards, 18 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Now, yes, my esteemed colleague in over in California is correct. I am not counting rushing touchdowns, but there's a reason for that. Because when the game gets rough, they're going to have to throw the ball. And there's going to be times where they have to throw the ball. And if we are talking about a team that plays the scheme or plays against quarterbacks well, it is the Kansas City Chiefs. You and I both know that, having to play them 2 times a year each. This is a situation where Spags is going to create scenarios where Hurts has to throw the ball. And yes, you've got A.J. Brown. Maybe you don't have Devonta Smith, but you've got Dallas Goedert. You have those options on the field. But if you have to throw the ball, I don't know if I trust Jalen Hurts to be able to throw the ball better than Patrick Mahomes. This is Patrick Mahomes that doesn't have Rashee Rice. This is Patrick Mahomes that has an aging Travis Kelce, but from time to time, all of a sudden, playoff Kelce, you never know when he's going to show up. But what he does have is Marquise Hollywood Brown. He does have Xavier Worthy. He does have an older but experienced DeAndre Hopkins. And let's not forget the powerhouse combination of Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. They have the ability to run the ball with either of these two guys. And maybe Pacheco has been taking his time to get back into stride. But when the lights are bright, that's when Andy Reid says, hey, buddy, you're up. But all of that has to do with what the Kansas City defense is going to do with the Philadelphia offense. Let's talk a little bit about the Kansas City offense. I already talked a little bit about these wide receivers. I talked a little bit about these running backs. But this Kansas City offense does one thing absolutely well. They do a take what the defense gives you approach. And if we're looking at what the defense gives for the Philadelphia Eagles, they are the number one defense against the pass. But they're not that good against the rush. They are actually they're 10th in the league against rushing. Who's a little bit better than them? It's Kansas City Chiefs. If the Chiefs are able to force the Eagles to throw the ball and not be able to run the ball and control the clock, then the Chiefs get to do what the Chiefs do best, which is take what the defense gives you. This is a situation where Patrick Mahomes has no problem playing dink and dunk. We saw that against the Buffalo Bills. Will this Eagles secondary be good enough to actually come up and play against a receiver, unlike the Bills DBs who were playing soft coverage? That's going to be something to see, particularly you, sir, we're going over the injury report. The Kansas City Chiefs don't have an injury report like that. They've got Patrick Mahomes having a full practice with an ankle injury, allegedly. They've got a punter who's got been ill with Ariza, and that's really it. Jawan Taylor, full practice. The Chiefs are coming into this game at or near full strength, and that's where it comes down to ultimately coaching. I trust Andy Reid more than I trust Nick Sirianni. I trust Steve Spagnuolo more than I trust Nick Sirianni. I trust, I hate to say it, but Matt Nagy more than I trust the defense of the Eagles. Is the defense of the Eagles really equipped to stop Patrick Mahomes when he just has all of these random targets? We saw Juju Smith-Schuster making plays for the Chiefs. There's too many options on the Chiefs team. You have superstars on the Eagles side of things, but on the Chiefs side of things, they go, hey, this is what we've got. We know how to make the most out of what we've got. And there's something to be said for chemistry. Yes, Rashee Rice isn't there, but Juju is. Yes, Xavier Worthy is a rookie, but he's had an entire season now to be able to build that chemistry. You have Kareem Hunt, who knows this scheme so well. And ultimately, like I said, when the lights are bright, you have Travis Kelce. This game can change off of 3 plays, just quick passes to Travis Kelce. All of a sudden, the Chiefs are in your side of the field. And we know they've got the ability to just take field goals and go, all right, defense, you're up. Because one name you left out on that defense, Karlaftis. Karlaftis is going to be able to make some plays. That guy can get after a quarterback, but more importantly, he can get into the backfield and hit Saquon Barkley and stop Saquon Barkley. A lot of this game is going to turn on whether or not Saquon Barkley is the generational running back that a lot of people have said he is. But does he have too much of that New York Giants stink on him? I don't know. Thus far this season, he showed he doesn't. But the Giants had a history of letting people down. I don't know if this is going to be that Saquon Barkley statement game. I unfortunately think we're going to be seeing the Chiefs three-peat, the first three-peat in the Super Bowl era. And God forbid, it's going to be absolutely terrible. But we're going to see, guys. We're going to see. So now that
Yeah,
we've and you know what the best part is? I didn't even bring up the refs. I didn't bring up Satan. I didn't bring up devil magic. None of that.
It's Saquon's birthday and Cooper DeJean's birthday. I think that will make a difference. I think the birthday boys will do their thing, and it will stop them. And look, the Eagles have two great tackles, a Hall of Famer in Lane Johnson and JT Maiuta. I mean, come on, Oos. It's raps. Leo Chanel, George Karlaftis, light work.
But now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's do like actual official picks. I would love to hear what your argument is for the Chiefs to win this. So who are you full on picking for this game?
I'm actually picking the Eagles for real. I think
really?
I just think with the Chiefs, it's one of those where it's like you've been kind of playing with destiny a little bit too much here, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's one of those things where you go through all these close games every single time. Eventually, it does bite you in the ass. And if there's a team that I feel like can take advantage of the fact that the Chiefs have been playing these close games too much, I do think it's the Eagles. And like you said, it's up to Nick Sirianni. Like if Sirianni is just because like as much as we crap on Sirianni, he is one of the most successful coaches in modern history. I mean, he's a top 5 winning coach of all time, and stuff. And Jalen Hurts, a lot of people will hate on him, but he's a winning quarterback in the NFL. And when I look at the Eagles defining wins, they've been pummelings.
But see, that's the thing. That's the thing. A part of me believes, like similar to how you're saying the Chiefs have been playing with this destiny thing for too long. I feel as though the Eagles are relying on Saquon Barkley too much, which is crazy considering they definitely get Gainwell involved. They definitely get what's his name? Will Shipley involved. And they do have, obviously they throw the ball because he has passing yards. But to me, it feels as though they're kind of just waiting for that one play where Saquon just shifts to the left or shifts to the right and breaks off like a 60-yard touchdown untouched. And then they're like, all right, now our defense can just swarm. And for me, the Chiefs play a good enough defense where even if he does break into that second level, their linebacking core with Bolton and them are going to be able to bring him down. I don't know if they have those home run plays. And if they don't have the home run plays, it feels as though they've become too reliant on that, where they're like,
that's where I think AJ Brown's I think that's where AJ Brown's going to come in, because AJ Brown can provide those home run plays. Like, that's the thing. I think Brown is really the difference maker here. And I think they can take advantage of the fact that the Chiefs secondary is not really the strongest besides Reed and McDuffie. I think they can take advantage of that. I really do. I think the Eagles is just, I really feel this is going to be one of those Super Bowls. It's an ass kicking Super Bowl. Like, we haven't had one of those in a minute where it's just like, and it's one of those where you're just like, everyone I think the Chiefs will start off strong. It will be a good game starting off strong. But the thing with the Chiefs is if you start with the ball, you have to have a long drive. You cannot score quick. This is not like we got to make a statement. Make a long drive. Keep the Eagles on ice. Shatter that Eagles defense confidence where it's like, hey, we can stop these guys. These guys aren't that scary. Then shatter confidence, because the one thing with the Eagles is that they do start slow sometimes. That's the one issue that they have with offense, is that they will start slow. I can expect a 3-and-out early from the Eagles in this game. But I do think the Eagles are well equipped enough, because it's just I look at that offense, I look at that defense, and I just look at the roster they built. It's just like, this roster is way too damn good to lose this game compared to the Chiefs roster. Like, yes, the Chiefs have the best player overall in Patrick Mahomes, but I look at the Eagles roster overall and I'm just like, and then having a guy like Nolan Smith going off right now, I do think having that edge rusher that's just like on a heater and is just playing at a different level right now, I think it does make a difference. I mean, you saw it with Denver with Von Miller, and then even in the Panthers, like, yes, they lost to you guys embarrassingly, but Coney Ely, same thing. He was on a heater that whole playoffs, and then all of a sudden he like if Cam Newton jumps on the football and the Panthers actually score some points, hey man, Coney Ely would have won Super Bowl MVP for sure, because he was on a heater that game. So that to me, I think the Chiefs do have a chance. It's not like they don't, but that offensive line issue, that's something I wouldn't want to play against with this Eagles defense. Like that defense is swarming right now. They've been swarming all season. So yeah, I hope Jalen Carter's healthy, but I do think the Eagles could win this game. I like doing a three-peat. That's hard to do. I mean, if Brady's Patriots couldn't do that, I don't know if the Chiefs could. And we haven't seen a good Andy Reid choke job in a minute. We haven't seen Andy Reid fuck up in a minute. Like restore the feeling. I need Andy Reid to mess up. I'm tired of this. Oh, Andy Reid, he can do no wrong gimmick. This gimmick stinks. I need the Andy Reid that messes up gimmick again. Like the Andy Reid that can't get the job done gimmick.
It's just like it feels to me as though it's like death, taxes, and Chiefs win just close games. Like they haven't lost. Like they just keep winning close games. And even when in the off chance that they win by 2 scores, like whether it's 14 or 10 or something like that, it still feels as though it was a close game. Like I don't know why. It just feels as though it was there's never been a game where it felt really as though they handled the team it felt as though they handled the team the way they should, but it never felt as though the way they stopped the team 100% of the time. There was no chance whatsoever. It wasn't going to come down to like a final kind of thing. Even in the Chiefs Bills, it felt at any point in time Josh could just pull something out. Maybe Amari Cooper shows up or something like that, and this game changes. It's a weird situation. However, for my actual pick, I also am going Eagles, just because I do think there will be 1 or 2 of those Saquon Barkley just finds a way, just finds a cut, and is able to, even if he does get tackled, I am being serious where I say that the linebacking core for the Eagles can bring him down. But if he gets like a 20-yard gain before somebody brings him down, and you get that fresh set of downs, the Eagles have a lot to work with. There's just, it is going to be a question, the Devonta Smith situation. That's going to be something that I'm going to be paying attention to, because Devonta Smith was the guy that was really making that offense click for a lot of playoff games.
I'm kind of worried too, because I did put some money on Devonta Smith on a lot of his props because I felt that he could have a good game. So I'm all like, damn, this is going to suck. Hopefully I get refunded.
But speaking of which, what are some of the props that you're looking at?
Oh man, there's a lot of good props actually for this one. I think the one that's on the money, if you can still get it, I don't know if they raised it, but Mahomes rushing attempts. I'm not saying rushing yards because that could dick you over, especially if he takes a knee at the end of the game. But rushing attempts, Mahomes, he's at 5.5 or 6.5 on some sports books. He's rushed 7, 8, 6 in his last Super Bowls. That's an easy lock right there. I think that's one of the best plays that you can make in terms of rushing attempts for Patrick Mahomes. I would say Patrick Mahomes rush.
FanDuel still has the over under at 5.5.
Yeah, take that. He's going to be.
But hold on before we go any further. We don't talk about betting that often. We did a while ago, like for a little bit of the Thursday games, a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of gross. You start talking about gambling, about betting, and things like that. And who shows up to Tru Picks for the first time? Who shows up? Who's just randomly joined? Look at that. Fresh off of watching Josh Allen, his favorite quarterback, with MVP.
This is a bad night for Romeo. He just lost the Golden Championship to ATP Gaming Patrick Mahomes.
60-minute Ironman match. Don't remind me. First of all, that MVP award should have been Lamar and Josh Allen co-MVP.
All right.
If you ask me, co-MVP. What's wrong with that? They've done it before. There has been precedence. Yeah. I feel like it should have been co-MVP, in my personal opinion. You guys done with that or no?
No, not really.
Why?
Well, you have to give it to who you think the best player in the league is.
I think there's not that much separating the two of them. I my personal opinion, it's not that much separating the two of them. I would just give it to both of them.
Personally, I mean, I could definitely have seen the argument for Lamar. I personally would have given it to Lamar over Josh, simply because of just the incredible wow factor of a lot of those plays. Like particularly, I'll always remember, at least for this season. Like if I think about 2024 season plays, the one where the Bengal, like he looked like he was dead to rights. He drops the ball, picks it up, and then is just like scrambling and then throws. But yeah, I mean, I'm not against the idea of Josh Allen winning it simply because he had to put that team on his back. There's really nobody else on that team besides James Cook that could really get a lot of production for the Bills. He was doing a lot of it by just finding people, getting them the ball. Whereas with the case of Lamar's able to do a lot of what he was able to do because of having Derrick Henry. And that's not to say like Derrick Henry put up one of his career years. So, Derrick Henry is who Derrick Henry is.
Yep.
And part of why he was able to do that was because of having Lamar. He's not in the Titans anymore. But it was just a situation where it really could have gone either way. But I don't see a situation where you should have the co-MVP simply because it should be a definitive thing. That's my only thought as to why no co-MVP. But another reason why it's not your night. I've said this before, sir. I never want to hear Sauce Gardner and Pat Surtain's name in the same sentence, unless it's to say that Pat Surtain is better.
Congrats
than
to
Sauce Gardner.
Surtain. He absolutely 100% deserved it. He is 100% better than Sauce Gardner, at least in this point in time. Last year, I probably would have said last year I would have said something different. This year, everything changed, and so yeah, he 100% deserves it. And Sauce Gardner needs to pick it up to get on his level. Patrick Surtain, congratulations, 100% deserved. I have no argument with that.
While we got you here, speaking of Sauce Gardner having to pick it up, how you feeling about this one?
Oh, Aaron Glenn. I did not want a first-time head coach, to be honest with you, but Aaron Glenn is a New York Jet. So if there was ever going to be a first-time head coach, I'm 100% down with Aaron Glenn. He understands what it's like to be in the torture of the New York Jet franchise, and he wants to be a New York Jet. He understands everything we've been through, everything it's been terror, and he's probably a better go at it than Rex Ryan, who also understands what it's like. Aaron Glenn has undergone a great coaching tree as far as everyone he's ever been under. Bill Parcells and everything with the Lions, and we'll see. If I'm gonna do a first time head coach, that's the guy I would go with. So we'll see.
And we'll do a little bit of who do you got here? Who do you got?
I ain't going against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Are you kidding me?
I mean, he did just kick your ass. He did just kick your ass from me. That makes sense.
Even if he did,
put Patrick Mahomes.
Even if he did not, I'm still going with him. It's going to be a close game, 100% for sure. And in close games, you have to roll with the Chiefs. You just have to roll with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
If the Eagles are going to win, they're going to have to blow them out. Blow them out. That's what the Eagles do. I don't see the Chiefs getting blown out. I do not see the Chiefs getting blown out. And if you ask me, Sirianni versus Reed and God, what's the defensive coordinator? I forgot his name.
Why did we forget about Vic Fangio? Vic Fangio is on this staff for the Eagles, and then Kellen Moore's been doing a good job.
Spags, are you kidding me? Spags and Andy Reid. I am rolling with that coaching staff 100 out of 100 times. You kidding me?
How messed up is it that twice the Eagles can get honey-dicked by their coordinators talking to their new teams during the Super Bowl? First with Gannon in the DC when they were in Arizona, and then he's like, "No, I wasn't meeting the Cardinals. What are you talking about? I'm focused on the game." And the Eagles defense let the game get away. And now it's the same thing. Kellen Moore interested in the Saints, and where's the Super Bowl? New Orleans. Oh, it's crazy.
Patrick Mahomes is going to fight. You guys both picked the Eagles? Oh,
well, okay, so hold on. What we did first was we flipped a coin and assigned a team to each one of us, and then that person had to present the argument why that team would win. So I got the Chiefs, Chase got the Eagles. So I've presented an argument as to why the Chiefs should win this game. But like for the actual picking of it, yes, we're both going Eagles.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
you guys are both going. You're both going against Mahomes and Reed.
Which is crazy because every time I have never picked against the Chiefs in True Picks.
Question.
You only picked against them for the Buffalo game. Buffalo.
I did pick Buffalo.
Yeah.
Question. This is before when they met the first time. Who did you guys pick the first time in your, as far as you can remember?
Chiefs.
When they met in the Super Bowl.
I picked the Chiefs. I picked the Chiefs the first time.
Oh, Chiefs.
Mainly because like, one, the Chiefs had a strong running game at that time. Two, I felt Miles Sanders was going to disappear in that game, which he did. And then also, I felt the Chiefs' defense was just enough to beat the Eagles, because at that time the Eagles just really was. This was the offense. It was like, hey, can AJ Brown catch a deep pass? And that was pretty much like what helped them in the game. This time it's different because I feel the addition of Saquon, the fact that the Chiefs are the youngest defense in the NFL, I think they're prone to make more mistakes. Despite, most of that roster haven't been in the last two Super Bowls, I do think that this Eagles team is just really good. Like, offensive line is really good. I think the offensive line continuity issues for the Chiefs are going to cause issues with that really great front seven that the Eagles have. And Nolan Smith being on a heater, I think that's very important. When you have a pass rusher that's just playing out of their minds in the playoffs, like that makes a huge difference when a pass rusher is playing that well. And so that's why I look at it where it's like, who's stopping Nolan Smith right now if they can't figure out who their left tackle, right tackle is, or if they move their guard to left tackle, So
for me, it's a question of Saquon Barkley. Like, it feels like, as much as the Chiefs are this team of destiny, it also feels as though Saquon is on a destiny trajectory. And for him, it's just like the situation where it's like, if he can just get first downs, similarly to the Chiefs style of offense, which is that take what the defense gives you, if he's able to convert on those second and shorts or third and shorts and things like that, as long as you keep the drive going and you score points, that's really what's going to matter, because your defense can stop this Chiefs offense. The Chiefs have never won a game where it's felt dominant, where their win has absolutely felt dominant. So that it's a question of, even in the close games, if you think that it can come down to a Eagles having the ball and being able to score with Saquon, I trust that they can figure a way out to get the points versus the Chiefs having to play a little bit of catch up. The Chiefs have also very rarely have they had to play from behind. They've always played with a touchdown or field goal lead.
But that's when I trust them most, if they have to play from behind, because their passing game is better than their run game.
No. What I'm saying is that in that situation, I trust that the Eagles have the ability to kill the clock better than the Chiefs have the ability to just suddenly score.
But if I tell you right now, Sirianni and everybody he's got on his coaching staff versus Reed, Spags, and everybody he's got on his coaching staff, you still feel confident?
I don't feel confident in that sense. A lot of this is just purely the fact that Saquon Barkley had the ability to break.
It's all Saquon.
Yeah, he had the ability to break the single season rushing record. He decided, he agreed with the team not playing him for the purposes of keeping him safe for the playoffs. That man has been single-handedly destroying teams.
The Chiefs can stop the run.
Of course, no, they can. They can.
Now, this is one of the greatest running backs in the league, of course.
But on the
one of the greatest running games in all the league.
On the flip side, when we're talking about the Chiefs' passing game being better than their running game, the number one defense that's stopping the pass this year has been the Eagles, and
doesn't make a great game.
Yeah, it's not even a close margin. I should also add that. They're the only team that has held any passing under 3,000 yards. They're at 2,961 yards. The Titans are at 3,014. So, like, from a margin standpoint, I guess it's a little bit close, but it's not close. It doesn't feel close at all because they're not allowing touchdowns. Whereas the Titans, they're allowing just a little bit more in yardage, but the Eagles have allowed 22 touchdowns the Titans have allowed 27 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's not that close of a margin, actually, between these defenses.
Also, Romeo, Bruce Arians with his shitty coaching staff killed Andy Reid and this coach and the coaching staff that they had. Matt, like I'm just saying, like, look, Andy Reid. It's not like Andy Reid is bulletproof. Like, this guy has his mishaps, and I talked about this. Like, we're due for the Andy Reid fucking up game. Like, Andy Reid messing up. Like, I can see Andy Reid. He's stressing himself out. He's like overthinking this. He's thinking about all the plays that he wants to run. And Fangio, he's dealt with Reid a bunch of times. Like, he knows that what Reid is going to try to do. I think once that pass rush gets to Mahomes, it's going to be like the Tampa Bay game where it's like, hey, use that pass rush, attack Mahomes, make Mahomes run. That's why the Mahomes rushing attempts bet is going to be very beautiful when it hits, because he's going to be running a lot this game. I don't think Mahomes is going to be passing, and I think that's why
a couple times,
yeah, that's why I feel like the Chiefs, like it's not like the Niners, where the Niners like were just like like, let's be real. I think if Saleh was the DC, the second Super Bowl they played, it's a totally different story. I think the Niners win that game, but because it was I forgot who it was. I don't think it was DeMeco Ryans. No, it wasn't. I don't even know who their DC was. But yeah, so
like I think the Eagles are an excellent team, 100% excellent team. I think they would beat almost anyone else in this situation. But you give me Reed, Spags, Mahomes, Kelsey, all that. I cannot, in good faith, go against them. You have to prove it to me. You have to show me you could beat those guys. I'm going with them 100% of the time. 100% of the time. I'm sorry. I'm going with them. So I'm going with the Chiefs. Even though the Eagles, I feel, are a better team. 100% they're a better team. 100% completely better team.
He had 2 weeks to beat Tampa Bay, who, by the way, they blew out the regular season game that they played against, and he got his ass kicked. So
you got to prove it to me. You got to prove it.
And then he had 2 weeks against Brady, and then that led to McNabb and Terrell Owens hating each other. So,
and I'm sorry, yeah. I saw Jalen Hurts F it up the last time in this situation. So he also has to prove something, Jalen Hurts.
Oh, now you're calling into question Bama quarterbacks now.
Yeah, man. Romeo,
I'm sorry. You have to ascend yourself to the level of Mahomes.
It's okay, Stack King. He LSU quarterbacks, when they make it to the Super Bowl, they just choke all the time. It's just how it is.
Jalen Hurts needs to ascend himself.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going
to be
crazy.
I'm
when
too
Jalen
young.
Hurts is the first quarterback in 2020 class to win a Super Bowl over Burrow.
Imagine Joe Burrow was in that. Imagine Joe Burrow was in the NFC. Oh my God! Be Joe Burrow and Mahomes every year. You kidding me? Unfortunately, he's in the AFC.
Brock Purdy almost beat Mahomes. Just want to throw that out there.
But he didn't. Just like Mahomes.
Jimmy G almost beat Mahomes.
Hi, Chase. How are you not giving credit to Patrick?
No, I'm giving.
Are you
credit.
kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? You gonna go with Jalen Hurts? Really?
Yeah.
Stop.
I'm going with the whole Eagles team.
Stop it. Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. The greatest of all time. He's better than Tom Brady right now. He's better. I will take Patrick Mahomes right now.
We're not going.
And then he's going to do it again. And on Sunday, I'll ask you again.
That's a little bit of stress.
Besides
he's
Joe
better.
Brady's the only reason why Mahomes doesn't have 5 rings or 4 rings right now is because of Brady.
He's going to get him. He's going to get him back. He's going to get all of them.
Brady did this with Antonio Brown.
Hold on. Wait, hold on a second.
He's going to get him, John.
You mean to tell me that Jaden Daniels isn't going to stop Patrick Mahomes?
I can hope. I can hope he does. I can hope that they surround him with enough talent. I can hope. But Mahomes,
the Commanders are actually the favorite to land Myles Garrett, like in the sports bets.
That'd be great.
Oh, that's not surprising.
That'd be great.
The Chargers are number 2.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. That one doesn't make any sense.
Well, we can give up Joey Bosa. So that's the thing. I think it's like Bosa in our first round that were. Well, the Commander, because keep in mind the Commanders, they don't really have their first rounder. They traded it for Lattimore, so they're about to give up a first rounder next year. So like the idea is trade 2 first rounds, but then they could trade you the Deron Payne or Jonathan Allen in return.
Did you guys guess a final score?
No, we didn't do final score.
Because I got one. If you guys want to guess.
Oh god, I want to hear what yours is.
So mine's an ass-kicking final score, Romeo. It's 41-7. I think the Eagles win.
Jesus. All right, that's a little ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Mine's not that crazy.
Way more realistic. Mine's way
it's
more
not.
realistic.
It's not that realistic.
That's
ridiculous.
yours is ridiculous. Will you stop?
No, they're going to kick their asses. This is going to be a.
If they are going to win, they will kick ass.
That's why I'm choosing the Eagles.
But it's not happening. But it's not happening.
It's happening that way.
If I'm picking a score, I'm picking something along more closer to like 35. Eagles 35.
Jeez.
Chiefs 27 or 28. Or I'd be picking a little bit closer, like say 27. Or sorry, Eagles 28. Chiefs 21.
Oh.
Or Chiefs 24.
All right,
because they're going to get a field goal at some point.
Guys, here is the score of the game. Put it in right now on FanDuel. It's plus 22,000. $1 will win you $221.
Oh, jeez.
Chiefs 28, Eagles 27 by 1 point. Harrison Butker, the guy that nobody wants to see in the kitchen, is going to kick a game-winning field goal. 25-27. The Chiefs win. You heard it here first.
Oh boy.
28-27. Put it in right now.
That wouldn't be
that
wouldn't be a game-winning field goal because that'd be 4 touchdowns.
They'll find a way. The scores, the scores. Do not trust these teams to have these neat scores.
It's something to do with the teams.
Goofy.
It's something to do with the teams. If you say he's going to kick a game-winning field goal,
miss extra point here and there.
If they were playing outside, I would agree with that score. But the fact that they're playing indoors, it's going to be.
There's
hard
always
for
a
me to
missed extra point, some bullshit.
But this is the Superdome.
It doesn't matter. You know how these teams go. There's always some bullshit. Missed extra point, safety, some garbage. There's always some bullshit going on. That's what I feel like is going to happen. Believe me.
I do like Jake Elliott to get 3+ field goals this game. I think that's a huge one. I think sometime early in the game.
He's going to suck. He's going to F it up.
No, I just think they're going to stall out a little bit early, and then that will lead. Look,
Jalen Hurts because of him.
What?
Come on, you feel the agenda. You're talking the agenda right
now.
I
have a feeling.
No. Jalen. I think Jalen Hurts is the best bet for Super Bowl MVP.
I have a feeling, hold on. I have a feeling, even though Romeo gave up on his Giants fandom, there's some residual Saquon hate going on here.
No, I love Saquon.
No, I think because Jalen Hurts is going to get more rushing touchdowns with the tush push. I think he's going to have a couple passing touchdowns. I think he's going to have a good passing game. I think we're forgetting how this Chiefs defense is just not going to be that good against a team like the Eagles. This is when you look at who they played in the playoffs, who's as high powered and as talented as this Eagles offense, this Chiefs defense. I'm not worried about the Chiefs offense that much. I'm more worried on the Chiefs defensive side of the things. The Chiefs offense could do what they do, but if Mahomes has to run around a lot, that's what lost him the game against Tampa, was the fact that he didn't have time in the pocket to read to get the ball to his receivers. That's why they've been doing this quick RPO game. And if there's someone that can stop the RPO and make sure those plays aren't happening, I do believe in Fangio's defense, and I do believe with these talented players that they have, they're going to slow them down a little bit.
You believe in Fangio more than you do Spags? More than you do Spags? Spags
right
been
now,
doing
yes.
This for years. He's been doing this for years.
Yeah, but this
you
is the youngest.
Fangio more than Spags?
Yes, right now,
That's
yes.
Crazy. That's crazy.
I believe.
Crazy. That is insane. Spags, Spags is a Hall of Fame coach in his own right. Are you kidding me? He is a Hall of Fame coach.
I
give
think
him his credit.
I know I am. I'm just telling you that I think Fangio's used to seeing what the Chiefs have. He's been going against the Chiefs for years. He's used to seeing this. This is something that he's won games against the Chiefs.
Well,
I mean,
this is
he
a
has
big
won
game.
games against the Chiefs.
This is the big game, and Spags always wins the big games. Always. Come on.
No,
Spags always wins the big games.
No, I get that. I'm just telling you. I just feel I feel Fangio just has the recipe to slow down what the Chiefs' offense is going to do. I just feel the thing is against this Eagles team, if you blitz against them like Spags likes to do, they take advantage of the blitz. That's the thing.
By the way, Kelsey, bad game last week. Last game, he ain't doing that again. He ain't doing that again. With the power of Taylor Swift. Are
we
you
said this
kidding
last
me?
year.
This is not happening in the Super
power of
Bowl.
Taylor Swift. She was there at the Bills game.
Oh, this ain't happening in the Super Bowl. Oh, you got away with
You
it that
did
one
it
time.
last year at the
You
Super
got
Bowl.
away with it that one time. It is not happening in the Super Bowl. You kidding me? It's not happening. They are going to ascend.
Do you want to know Kelsey's stats in the Super Bowl?
What?
Do you really want to know? They're not that good.
Okay.
Kelsey, first Super Bowl against the Niners, 6 for 43, 1 touchdown. In the losing effort against Tampa Bay, 15 catches, 133 yards, 0 touchdowns. Against Philly last time, 6 catches, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. And against the Niners, 9 receptions, 93 yards, 0 touchdowns.
Wait, what'd you say against the Eagles?
6 catches, 81 yards, 1 touchdown.
That's not good? What? Hello, that's good. That's great. Are you kidding me? Come on. If he does that again, that's going to be a great game.
No, we're acting like Kelsey's going to go for 150 yards.
6 catches, 81 yards, a touchdown? Come on. That's good. He's going to do that again. He got worthy. I mean, come on. Like, this is... Come on, you guys are doubting Patrick Mahomes.
Are we just sleeping on like AJ Brown? Like AJ Brown, some bum? I'm doubting the Chiefs. I'm saying the Chiefs defense, Romeo. I'm not even doubting Pat. I'm saying the Chiefs defense, with their young age, are going to make a lot of mistakes, and they're facing off against an Eagles team that has a great offensive line, a generational running back, a top 5 wide receiver, one of the best number 2 wide receivers, a good tight end. That's going to be a tough task to ask. And when I look at this Eagles defense, that Chiefs offensive line is a huge issue. They don't even know who their left tackle is. They've been rotating guys in and out at left tackle, and you're going against a front 7 with an all-pro defensive tackle, an edge rusher that's hot, an all-pro second-team all-pro linebacker, and Zach Bond. That's going to be a tough ask. That's all I'm saying, is that they have a great chance.
Did you guys even talk about the Chiefs' secret weapon?
Who? Marquise Hollywood Brown? DeAndre Hopkins? Which one?
Referees. Did you even talk about the referees?
We didn't want to. We didn't bring them up. We know
guess what? Guess what? Do you know how the Chiefs work? Do you know? What's their secret weapon? The referees.
We're picking this. We're picking this in a not vacuum, but we're picking this in a situation where it's strength on, like, force on force. Like, who would win?
We're not.
Okay. All right.
Outside.
Well, all right. Let's talk reality now. With the referees, who do you think they're gonna favor, the Chiefs or the Eagles?
Oh, the Chiefs.
Well,
Yeah,
then
the Chiefs,
that's
yeah.
the winning team.
The
Hello,
Chiefs.
come on. You
Have
to factor that.
Why do you think I never picked against the Chiefs until that conference championship game? I don't even think I picked against the Chiefs in week. We didn't pick week 18. But yeah. I probably would have until I found out that the Chiefs were resting a bunch of the starters, not all the starters. When I found out they were resting Pat Mahomes, I was like, okay, yeah, now the Broncos have a chance of winning this.
That's a huge fact you have to consider.
It is a huge.
It's not something you throw to the side.
It's a huge factor, but this refereeing crew, both of them, both teams are undefeated with this referee crew.
Something's gotta give.
Yeah. So
and whose side you taking? Whose side you taking?
The funniest part of this is that there's like Chiefs fatigue, and we have easily talked ways into how this is an interesting game.
There's Chiefs fatigue. But not for me. Not for me. I don't have no Chiefs fatigue. Come on, I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I feel like there's a big bias against the Chiefs out there, 100%.
No, they can win this game. I just think that we're due. It happens every 4 years. We get a Super Bowl ass kicking. That's just the thing. Every 4 years, it's like God
I got
says,
another question for you.
let's just have a Super Bowl where it stinks and we just have it where the other team kicks their ass. Like that. We haven't got that in a while. The Chiefs are the only team in NFL history to have a winning record playing these close games. That's something that's going to bite them in the ass eventually. Every other NFL team that has won in a one-score game throughout most of the season all missed the playoffs and didn't win anything. The history repeats itself. This is not something where it's like I'm being a hater. I'm just saying it's just when you look at history and how it repeats itself, like, look, 2025 Super Bowl, we got to ask. This, I think it's going to be an ass kicking. 2020, that was an ass kicking. Then we go back. What was the last ass kicking? The 2016 Super Bowl with the Broncos and the Panthers. And then we have to go all the way back to the Broncos and the Seahawks, where the Seahawks kicked the Broncos' ass. It's just it's just history repeating itself. It's how it goes sometimes. Look, when you play with destiny too much in the NFL, it will bite you in the ass. And that's why I think I won't be surprised if this game is an Eagles ass kicking on the Chiefs, where it's just
say, Romeo is absolutely a Giants fan. He absolutely was.
I haven't been in years.
But I'm saying you absolutely were a Giants fan.
Yes, I have been in the past when I was in Guam. And that leads me to my next question, because I want to hear what you guys feel like. How do I say this? When the Giants faced the Patriots, the undefeated Patriots, that was a big moment in history, Super Bowl history, like trying to stop them from being undefeated.
Sure.
This, I feel, is very similar, a big moment in football history, being the first ever to three-peat.
Right.
How do you guys compare those two things? There's one going for a three-peat, one going for history being undefeated. Do you feel any similarities in those? Or no?
I think there's absolutely similarities between them. I think that it's in a weird way, I think that the three-peat is tougher because you had to have done it 3 years in a row, whereas the Patriots just simply had to be really damn good one single year. And granted, it's like, 18 games, sure. But in the case of the Chiefs, you had to win enough games each year to get to the playoffs. Then you had to win in the playoffs. Then you had to win the Super Bowl. So it's a far bigger accomplishment to me to have three-peated, particularly in the NFL, than it is having an undefeated season going all the way and winning the Super Bowl.
What do you think, Chase?
Yeah, I think it's similar, but I think the difference is that like most of America is rooting against the three-peat happening compared to where it's like they were rooting for the Giants to pull the upset. So it's like a little bit where it's like only Chiefs fans want the three-peat, while most of America's like, we do not want this. Like,
not fast, Chase.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for the Chiefs too.
I guarantee you, Tom Brady's in the booth. He's hate watching the Chiefs. He is hate watching the Chiefs because he does not want that. Because let's be real, if Mahomes does win the three-peat, there's a strong argument that he's the GOAT compared to Tom Brady, if not better, because Brady did not win 3 in a row. And then also
gives him a big leg up in that argument.
Yeah, gives him a big leg up. But then also when you look at it where it's like, hey, this is his 4th Super Bowl in like 7 years. That's crazy in itself. But Brady also had that time frame where he won 3 early, but then afterwards it took a while before Brady got back to his 4th Super Bowl. And he did get back, but they just never won those Super Bowls. But it took a while for him for his 4th victory, while Mahomes would have only 1 Super Bowl loss, and that is to Tom Brady, yes. But other than that, it's like, hey, like he has ring number 4. Ring number 4. And now and well, even I feel if he wins the three-peat, it evens him on the GOAT level. And then he could lose next year. But I think if Mahomes gets 5 Super Bowls, I think he's the GOAT. I think he would be put
how many championship games is he in his career?
He is the only time he's lost in the playoff. His worst finish every season is the AFC Championship. That's his worst finish every season. His first year, he lost the AFC Championship. Second year, won the Super Bowl. Well, technically his second year, he lost the AFC Championship. But we're talking starting wise. Third year, lost in the Super Bowl. Fourth year, lost in the AFC Championship. Fifth year, won the Super Bowl. Sixth year, won the championship, won the Super Bowl. And then this year, worst case is he loses another Super Bowl. Best case is he wins another Super Bowl.
And he's in the AFC. This is a fucking Shark Tank. This is not the NFC where it's, pretty easy. The AFC is a fucking jungle. A jungle every year. Lamar, Burrow, Allen. Who else? Forget it. It's ridiculous. It's only going to get tougher and tougher.
That's what
he's doing.
That's what I'm saying. If he wins a fifth one, that's why I said I would put him in the GOAT tier. Because
when it comes to the level of competition, I've said I don't know how many times you guys have seen me say this in the chats. The Chiefs, the smartest decision the Chiefs ever made was signing him to the 10-year contract.
Yeah.
Because it seemed at the time paying him a shit ton of money. And now he's one of the more affordable quarterbacks. He's only getting paid between $45 and $48 million this year, and even next year. Now, granted, in 2 years it jumps up to the 60 range, but they can renegotiate, and he's probably going to be willing to take the pay cut.
Yeah, the way they did this contract was the most genius contract too, because they were literally basing it he won the Super Bowl, and they based it off his potential. They were like, oh, if this guy sucks, we can just cut him. Maybe it was just a fluke that he's been good these 2 years. We could just cut, and it wouldn't have even hurt them. The fact that they got that contract was insane. I couldn't believe it when they got that contract agreed with him. Because if you're a player, you want the least amount of time as possible with the most money guaranteed. And he got 10 years and it was $500 million, but that $500 million was not really a true $500 million. That's just it was a really smart contract that the Chiefs got him under, and it keeps the roster flexible.
Correction.
Well, correction.
2024, his cap hit was $37 million. So not 40. I thought it was 45. It's 37. I would much rather be paying Patrick Mahomes $37 million than be paying Trevor Lawrence $50. Now the year that we're technically currently in, but the 2025 season is when it jumps up to $66 million. But it's still going to be affordable because you've got Rashee Rice on the rookie contract. You've got Worthy on the rookie contract. You'll probably be able to bring Hollywood back at a relatively cheap price. You may, if they win, I would not be surprised if Kelsey retires. So that frees up a lot of cap space.
Let me tell you something. When you heard the news about Cooper Kupp, was I the only one that thought, oh my God, the perfect Chief?
The problem.
Can you not see that?
The Cooper Kupp, which we didn't talk about, but the Cooper Kupp situation is interesting to me because a part of it is, yes, Cooper Kupp is a really damn good wide receiver. Yeah, there's also a part of it where it's Cooper Kupp is a really good wide receiver because he achieved a Saiyan fusion level of mind meld with Matt Stafford. And whether the question is, as he gets older, can he replicate that mind meld with another quarterback? That's the question mark for me. I'm not 100% sure whether he can or can't.
And the Chiefs also have to look at it that cap hit for Kupp is going to be bad. Still got because McDuffie's going to be due for an extension soon. So you have Trent McDuffie. Because people forget McDuffie, Karlaftis, and then 2 other players. They're all from the same draft class. That's literally the same draft class. You can't keep all those players. And if you're the Chiefs, because they're talking about letting Trey Smith go, one of the best offensive guards in the league. They're talking about letting him go. Well, because they can't afford him, because they know we have to pay McDuffie, we have to pay Karlaftis. Those are priority 1 and 2 if you're the Chiefs. And then also Creed Humphrey. You got to start looking at maybe renegotiate with him. So that's the one thing where it's Cooper Kupp makes sense, yes, but can you afford Cooper Kupp? And does it make sense to give up valuable draft capital when we know the Chiefs have been drafting? Why do you think all these executives, it's oh yeah, they work for the Chiefs? It's Brian Poles, he got a job. Why? Because he was with the Chiefs. The new Titans GM, he was with the Chiefs. Everyone thinks oh, we get these guys. No, the Chiefs just have a good infrastructure, and they built around a strong draft class. But you can find in the NFL draft, if 4 out of the 7 guys that you drafted hit, that's great. 6 out of the 7 in this draft class has hit for the Chiefs. The only one that it didn't hit was a practice squad player who, by the way, plays for the Eagles and stuff, who plays for the Eagles right now. So he has it's a funny conundrum. If the Chiefs win, everyone in that draft class would be the first ones to also get be the first three-peat. But if the Eagles win, only the practice squad center gets considered because and if you look at his pro football thing, they don't give him they don't credit him for the Super Bowl, but practice squad players do get a ring. So he does have a Super Bowl ring. So the Eagles player will get his third ring as well. So it's an interesting conundrum there. But
with Cup, it's like Cup is a great player, but is he worth $29 million? Like, is he a $29 million player at the age with the injuries that he's had? I don't know if he's a $29 million worth player.
Yeah, let me look at because this draft class for the Chiefs, it's literally one of the best draft classes it's like up there with that Eagles, not the Eagles, the Seahawks draft class where everyone said they were terrible and stuff. Like it's crazy if I can find the names. Like I know, like that draft class is insane.
For this year, I'm looking at it.
No, the 2022 draft class, the one with all the one that I was talking about with McDuffie. Yeah, so they got Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis. First with is Sky Moore. Brian Cook is a good special teamer. Leo Chanel was also in that draft class. Joshua Williams, Darian Kennard, who I think is the Eagles player that gets a chance. Jalen Watson, Pacheco, Najee Johnson. So like they found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that are good in that draft class.
They've set the standard when it comes to good drafting.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna be paying Pat that much amount of money, especially in those early years, you have to hit on the draft picks because you don't have money to pay people if they want to stay there. Which, case in point, we have seen. Why can I not remember? He's now on he went to the Titans. Who's that?
Snead. L'Jarius Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed went to the Titans. Like, you can't pay some of these people, so you have to be able to maintain that next man up mentality. I'm really going to be interested to see, because we're in a sense we're facing off with two of the best teams when it comes to drafting. Like, look at the Eagles. Look at the talent that they have found when it comes to the offensive line, when it comes to Jalen Carter. Like, it's just like, okay, somehow, some way, a great Georgia player just happens to fall to the Eagles. And the Eagles are just like, yeah, sure, we'll take him. If you don't want him, we'll take him. So it's a really interesting way to match up two organizations and how they find players and develop players. Because but the real question here is, would the Eagles be in the position that they're in if it wasn't for Saquon Barkley? I don't think they would. I don't think they'd be in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Saquon.
No, they wouldn't, because they didn't have a reliable running back. Yeah, Swift was too inconsistent for them, and they gave up on Swift a lot of the times. And that's the thing that Jalen Hurts does well with, is when you have a reliable running back with him. And I feel having like Saquon helps Jalen Hurts a lot.
Washington would have beat them if it didn't have Saquon.
Yeah.
Could either of you guys look up the Super Bowl MVP odds? I can't bet them in New York.
Hold on, I'll tell you.
But I'll tell you right now who I'm going with, even though it's chalk. Patrick Mahomes will be the Super Bowl MVP in my eyes.
So Mahomes is at, according to FanDuel, Mahomes is at plus 120.
It's chalk, but that's my pick.
Saquon at plus 250.
I don't know what that term means. Sorry.
Chalk means it's like the obvious.
Oh, the obvious. Gotcha.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts is at plus 370. And then it gets crazy with Kelsey at plus 1,400, Worthy at plus 3,100.
Who are
AJ
your guys' picks?
If the Eagles win, I think it's going to be Saquon. If the Chiefs win, it's going to be Mahomes.
I'm going with Hurts because I think he's going to get more rushing touchdowns.
What are his odds at?
Plus 370.
What's Saquon's?
Plus 250.
And what did you say, Kelsey also? Did you think he had a chance?
That's like plus 14.
Yeah, plus 1,400 for Kels.
What's a sneaky MVP?
Probably Worthy.
Worthy?
They put him out there on like some punt return or kick return, and then all of a sudden he brings it back for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think
he could easily catch like 2 touchdowns easily.
I think Worthy. I think Worthy could have like one of those where he could have a heater.
What are his odds?
Plus 3,100.
Oh my god, that's worth a sprinkle. Jeez.
The two that I like defensively, if you want to go with a defensive player, if you think the game is going to be close, I do like Karlaftis and Nolan Smith. I think those two can actually like win MVP for them just based off stats alone. If the game is like not exciting and stuff.
Who's the what's his name? The defensive tackle for the Eagles.
Carter.
Yes. What's his odds?
He's at plus 10,000, but he's been dealing with the illness. So that's why I would say stay away from him.
Oh, that's a big deal. If he cannot contribute for the Eagles, that's a big deal.
Where are you seeing these MVP odds?
FanDuel, you just have to hit show more.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, you did show more, and it'll show. They even have odds for like Will Shipley if you want to bet plus 75,000 on him.
Will Shipley.
Oh, there, I see it now.
Yeah, let me see like a crazy.
Hey,
one.
what's Kareem Hunt? That guy could easily score 3 touchdowns.
I was gonna say Kareem Hunt's not that bad. Yeah,
that guy can easily score 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, because like for me, I think that wouldn't be a bad one. Honestly, my first touchdown bet is actually Kareem Hunt. I think Hunt scored the first touchdown.
He could get sneaky touchdowns like nothing. Pacheco has not been. He's not been normal Pacheco.
No, I don't
love.
He hasn't.
I actually think Pacheco, like, because I actually have like a lot of guys where I'm like, hey, I think you could actually get these guys at like low value. Like Pacheco's one of the guys like 25 plus rushing yards at plus 105. I think is like good value for Pacheco. I think he can get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot of guys. So like there's a lot of guys that have like low props, but I think that they could actually hit them. Like I think like come on, like Noah Gray, he's always shows up for these stupid Super Bowls. Like Noah Gray is
automatic 2 catches.
Yeah, 2 catches. And honestly, I don't think it's crazy if you just put it a slip on its own. Noah Gray anytime touchdown. I think a Noah Gray touchdown is in play.
Noah Gray is going to be a popular pick for me.
Yeah, so Noah Gray.
Sure.
I also do like DeAndre Hopkins to get 2 receptions at least this game. I think his props were just getting
nervous.
That was one of the funniest things I've seen was the Chiefs trading for DeAndre Hopkins and the Bills trading for Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
both of the teams not using them.
Yeah,
I'm like,
very nervous.
Yeah, let me try to see what.
Very nervous with both guys.
Yeah, because I have on Price Picks I have like a little like buy low type of deal, but I don't know if these odds will be available on FanDuel. But on Price Picks for my buy low, like it's just like, oh, I think these guys are gonna hit. So I use the promo that they have where it's Mahomes just has to throw a passing yard. But then I have Kareem Hunt scoring a touch.
Wow, tough one, man.
Yeah, that was tough.
Good luck, brother. Good luck.
Yeah, so then I have Kareem Hunt scoring a touchdown because I do believe Hunt's going to get a touchdown this game. Pacheco, I got at 21.5 yards. Jahan Dotson, I don't know what his line's at, but if it's at 3.5 or 5, I think it's a good one. He's been
you
cooking.
Could do that. Yes, you could. Do
that. That's what I'm saying. 3.5 or 5. Juju Smith-Schuster, I have over 15.5 receiving yards, and then DeAndre Hopkins, I just need him to get 2 catches.
Bro, guys, let's do a touchdown. Let's do a touchdown parlay.
Okay.
Every one of us picks one.
Oh, mine's easy. Because you know me and going safe. Saquon Barkley. You know me and going safe, buddy. I like birds in the hand.
Saquon Barkley is minus 190.
You're welcome.
Who wants to go next? Me.
Which is funny because it's not the safest one. The safest one is actually no, it is the safest one. Jalen Hurts is minus 115.
I'm pretty sure Chase wants to go Jalen Hurts, huh?
I'm actually gonna go Xavier Worthy.
What? After all you were talking about Jalen Hurts, you go Xavier Worthy?
No, I think
really?
Worthy gonna look. Hunt
no, I understand. It's just you were talking up Jalen Hurts.
We're talking about making a nice 3-leg parlay. We already have a high favorite in Saquon Barkley. Why not add a good underdog and Xavier Worthy in there?
So now you leave me last to finish this all.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Romeo's gonna pick like Philadelphia defense after everything he was saying.
A lot of good choices. I could go Hurts. I could go Kelsey. But you guys have heard me talk. You guys have heard me talk him up so far. It's Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
It's Kareem Hunt. And those three together, Barkley, Worthy, Hunt, plus 813.
That's not bad.
You gotta love that. Put it in, folks. I'm putting in.
I'm putting $20 on that.
13.
I just put. I put that in. I think that's a good 3-legger because like the thing is with her, like when you make a parlay, you want at least some value into it, but you want guys that you know could score. Worthy's been scoring touchdowns, and like look, if you're gonna do a Hurts Saquon parlay, Jalen Hurts multiple touchdown bets. I think that's good value right there.
I'm putting $20 plus 813 to win. What is that? 182. I love that parlay. I love it. I think all three guys score.
Yeah, I put $20 in too, Romeo. I was like, you know what? I like that parlay, so why not? Should we make a sicko parlay? Should we make a sick?
What is a sicko parlay?
I want to hear
what
this.
You're talking about.
All right. Hear me out. Saquon.
Hear him out.
Saquon
for two
touchdowns.
Well, that's not so sicko, actually. That's probably the
No, I'm not finished yet.
As far as it goes, that's probably the safest leg.
I'm not finished yet. I am not finished.
I thought he was going to say Saquon 4 touchdowns. It's only plus 9,000.
Yeah.
What?
Jalen Hurts 250 passing yards.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 2 touchdowns also because that's not so sicko either. If they both score 2 touchdowns, that's not so sicko. But what you're saying passing yards?
Yeah.
You're definitely sicko.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sicko. This is a sickle bet. This is like, hey, I'm betting on Matt's
yards?
250.
250? Oh
yeah.
My. So Saquon not gonna run the ball?
AJ Brown, 80+ yards.
Oh, you are sick as fuck. This is ridiculous.
Xavier Worthy.
I can pay my mortgage. That's all right.
Xavier Worthy, 7 receptions.
Oh, okay. That's actually not the sickest part of this whole thing.
I could pay both of my mortgages off with this.
and then the only other touchdown bet to round up this 5-legger, Noah Gray, anytime touchdown.
Jesus Christ.
That's actually not that bad.
No, it's all of it combined.
It's all of it combined.
So, you know what? All right, that is plus 19,085. $1. $1 to win 190. I'm in.
I think it's a nice sick bet. I think it's a nice sicko bet.
$10 would win you 1,900 something. I'm just gonna put $1.
Yeah, no, it's worth it. It's worth. That's why it's a sicko bet.
It's $1.
It's $1. You win $100+ I think it's worth something.
I put $1.
Who do you think sells in that? I think it's Noah Gray.
No, I actually think he don't. I think the worst part of that would be, I think the Jalen Hurts yards.
Yeah,
the scariest part for me because of just Barkley could run so much, and Jalen Hurts.
Even if they got behind, I don't think they're going to be throwing that much.
I do have the Saquon so this is kind of sicko, but I do have the Saquon Jalen Hurts like by itself 2+ touchdown bet, but then I also added Kareem Hunt to get 2+ touchdowns.
Jeez. Whoa. What were the odds on that?
So 260, 550, and then that one. So it's plus 38,900.
Wow.
And I put $5, so that would win me close to 2,000. So 1,945 in a cent.
Yeesh. Made sure to include that and a cent. I like that. Well, guys, I think we've talked out this.
Wait,
this
I have a sicko bet
Oh
too.
no, never mind. We have not.
I have a sicko bet too.
Mm-hmm.
If you want it,
I'll put it in my prize picks if it's available.
I'll put $5. I'm putting $5 on this. $5 on this.
Okay, I want to hear it.
It's plus 44.08.
Oh, I like it.
Saquon, 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
Kelsey, 1 touchdown.
Oh, okay.
Worthy, 1 touchdown. Jalen Hurts, 1 touchdown. I feel like that's great value for all those 4 guys who are definitely going to be a main attraction. I believe in them. And Saquon, Saquon, Don't be scared of 2 touchdowns from Saquon. He's Saquon. He'll find a way.
I put $5 on that, Romeo.
$5 wins you $2.25. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a nice risk.
Not bad at all. But alrighty, guys. I think we have now with that last sicko.
Oh, can I give my official parlay though, like the one that I'm putting like $100 on?
Yeah, sure.
So
what is
Mahomes rushing attempts. He's at 5.5 right now.
I gotta go on DraftKings for that.
No, they don't have. Yeah,
you have that for FanDuel?
They don't let you parlay that.
Oh, they don't. Bet Online does.
All right, so hold on a second. Let me pull this up. Rushing props, rushing attempts.
Yeah, over 5.5.
Over
5.5.
Okay, they have a max. Wow, I can't even. What the? Okay, rushing attempts. 5.5 over. Got it.
And then the 2 touchdowns are Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown. And then the hardest part of the leg, but I do believe it will hit. I don't know if it's jumped, but Saquon Barkley over rushing yards.
Saquon Barkley over rushing yards?
Yeah.
They got him at 110 right now.
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, I can't parlay it either. Interesting. I can take it. It's the rush attempt.
Bet Online lets you parlay them.
DraftKings has him at 112.5, which I will take. So all that together for me on DraftKings is plus 675.
Yeah.
What do you have it as, Chase?
I have it at plus 707 on Bet Online.
I'll bet it.
Yeah, because I think when I betted the Kareem Hunt touchdown, it was like his odds were a lot higher. I think that was my thing. Because what's he at now on for you, Romeo? Hunt?
What are you asking?
Oh, what was Hunt for you? Yeah, for rushing touchdowns, or anytime touchdown.
Plus 140.
Yeah, I got Hunt at plus like 175.
Yeah, he's gonna score a touchdown. He is gonna score a touchdown. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's my official. Like, I put $100 on this bet, and if it hits, awesome. If it doesn't, I'm impressed.
I will not put 100, but I will put a nice little number on it.
Hey man, this one, me and my friend Degenerate Josh, we went crazy on the
Degenerate Josh.
yeah.
Romeo.
Romeo, we are 7-0 when we do this research.
You know what? So instead of 10, I'm gonna put 15 on it. How about that?
Ooh, look at that. Big spender.
We break it down.
Before we get out of here, we do have a question for you.
Yes.
Blue 101 is asking if you're doing the Super Bowl props contest.
Sure. Yeah, let's effing do it. I'll probably work on that later on today, Friday, and send that out on all my social media if you're following me. For sure.
So, guys, we want to thank you for tuning in to this Super Bowl edition of Tru Picks. I think in the off season, Chase and I are going to be doing a little bit of chatting up each team and kind of like what their needs are and all that kind of stuff as we enter into the draft. Maybe we'll just go division by division just to keep it a little bit easier. Otherwise, I think team by team, 32 individual episodes might be a bit much. But we want to thank you all for tuning in. As always, remember to hit that like button, subscribe if you have not already. And until next time, guys, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will catch you all